me trying to be rude or anything. That's trying to tell you the truth so that you can change things if you want to change things. But you don't take it seriously. Okay, so we started talking about logarithms recently. What is a logarithm?
That is that definition.
Okay, so one is the inverse of an exponential, but what else is it?
The exponent to the base of an argument.
Something like that. But in general, if I evaluate a logarithm, it is
It's an exponent.
it's an exponent, right? Like at the most fundamental piece, and a logarithm is an exponent. We got to keep that in mind. And so this is the getting started of page 171 because we're all there. Time for us to learn math.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Page 172. It's 10:51. We got 15 minutes.
This is great.
Okay. So write the equivalent form of the given exponential or logarithmic equation. And so this is to, one, help us build an understanding of how exponentials and logarithms work. So if 12 squared is equal to 144, what would be the logarithmic version of that?
No, x equals where? Yeah. This ain't x equals.
Would it be squared?
X
Log.
equals
The square root.
log 10.
Log 12.
Log 12.
Log, what's the 12? It's the,
Substitute.
you're right, because it's the what? It's the base. Log base 12
144.
of 144
Equals 2.
equals 2. Alright, logarithm is equal to an exponent, right? Here, when I look at log base 16 of 4 equals 1/2,
16 raised to the half.
okay? So, and I'm going to have you all do the rest of these in a second. Two things I want to point out is this. One, collaborate, discuss, and check in with each other as we work through these. If you see Ln, that's a logarithm. What's the understood base for Ln? It is the natural log, but it's base e. Keep that in mind. The other thing I want to quickly point out is this. 16 to the 1/2 is equal to 4. Is there any other operation that I could have done to 16 to get a 4?
Divide.
By what? Not divide by 2. Divide by 4, or what else? There's one other operation.
Multiply by.
Square to the 8 negative.
Well, no. Squaring 4 gives me 16.
Oh.
So what's the inverse operation of that?
Square root.
Couldn't you obtain the square root of 16 to get 4? The reason I bring this up is, especially if you take a pre-calc class in the future, we want to notice that 16 to the 1/2 is equal to 4, which is also equal to the square root of 16. What does that tell us about 16 to the 1/2 and the square root of 16?
Equivalent.
They're equivalent, okay? So that's a small detail I want to point out. Here's why it makes sense. What is the understood exponent on this 16? A 1. This square root has an understood, what right here?
2.
Notice that's where the 1/2 comes from. So you can rewrite any root as an exponent, right? There's no need to right now, but if you were to have this, do you know what root that would be?
4, the 4th root.
It would be the 4th root of what?
16 cubed.
There we go, right. That is all it is. I will point this out because y'all haven't done this yet, but what's going to be easier to type into the calculator? Going through the 4th root of 16 to the 3rd, or just making that exponent? That's the one small reason I do bring it up. So let's work through the rest of these exponentials and logarithmics, converting back and forth, and we'll come back together to talk about anything that I might see some trouble with. Okay? Which one are you having trouble with? Hey, what's the understood base if it's Ln? Base E, right? Okay, also I do want, just because I'm already seeing this, I want you to be careful. What's the issue that I might have with this?
What? That was 0.
It's too high.
Too high.
Okay? Notice this makes it look like the 100,000 is a what? Exponent. It needs to be in line with the logarithm. The 10 is a subscript, as a base, but the argument is in line with the log. It's log base 10 of 100,000 equals 5. I will also point out, does anyone know a slightly different way that I could write that logarithm?
Oh, 100.
No, don't do 100K.
100 of the 100,000 of a log or something.
let me point this out. Is log base 10 one of the important logarithms?
Yeah, that's the basic.
Yeah, it's not natural.
Not natural log, it's the common log. Remember, the common log, much like a square root, we don't have to write the base or the root for. So I don't have to write it this way. I could just write it as, and we would read that as the common log of 100,000. Right? So you don't have to write the base with that one. Okay? So keep working through those, check in with each other. Be careful, erase that equals sign, that you're doing the same thing of making it almost look like an exponent. It needs to be in line with the log. Did you figure out your answer, Keyshawn? Or how to answer your problem?
I want to say yes, but I don't.
Okay, check in with your group. See what they say.
It's E. Okay, it's nice.
There you go. Is this that base? Ask your group. Which one are you talking about, this one or that one? Top of the group?
Which I got for,
Was that the fourth one? Which one are you looking at? I said the fourth one was the one that.
3 raised to E.
So, I've seen 3 raised to the E equals 20.086. I have seen E to the 20.086 equals 3. And I have seen E to the third equals 20.086. Which of those is correct?
E to the third.
3 rows to E, because like,
3 rows to
it says
E.
B.
Question.
Exponent.
I have a question. What's the opposite of ln? What's the opposite of okay. E.
Well, the inverse is E raised to. But here's a bigger question. What is a logarithm?
Exponent.
An exponent. So when I look at this 3 right here, what is the exponent? And remember, the base of a logarithm and the base of an exponential are always the base of the logarithm, the base of the exponential are always the same, right? So if this is ln, what's the understood base? And what's the exponent? And I want to point out something I want to commend Keyshawn on. He did a very simple thing of, you put it in the calculator to check it out. What do you get when you type e to the third into the calculator?
You did
20.086?
No,
What do you-
I put 3 to E and I got like 19.88.
Right, but is it 20 point something? 3 to the e may be close, but it's not.
I thought you said you don't gotta be, it's just gotta be approximate. So,
But it still needs to be closer than that. That is a whole number off.
it's an approximate.
That's approximate.
Both approximate.
No, that's close. That's not close enough.
So just make sure it's the same base.
Well, that's the thing to remember. Logarithms and exponentials always have the same base. And then remember that logarithm equals an exponential. I would check your fifth one again. No, wait, just kidding. I misread that. Yeah. Because remember, it's the same base. That's my exponent. And so that's the output is the new input, right? The argument. That is another thing to remember, is that the output of an exponential is the input of the logarithm. Right? That's where the argument's coming from.
y'all do for fifth?
One log, two third, base two over three, raised to the 8 divided by 27 equals 3.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
What happened?
Huh? I'm sorry, you need this.
Uh,
I was
the three
thinking about
becomes
why is it called an
the
argument?
whole after the whole thing. Then 2 over 3 becomes the base, yeah,
The
the
base.
2 over 3 becomes the base, and then
2/3, 2 divided by 3.
2/3. And then 8 divided by 27.
Like, you think I did this right from the exponent?
Yeah, 8,
Was it all out?
yeah.
I mean, is that,
You need 8 over
Check the
27
group.
becomes the argument?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
well,
log
36, right?
2
What you
So
got?
that means
divided by
log
3
base
raised
36
to the
or
8
6?
divided
You
by
put log base
27
6 of
equals
36. Which one's correct?
Because the base and
What you do for the second last? I got
exponential
exponential.
are the same.
Which one?
So you're gonna use the same digit for both of them.
The base and the
I'm sorry,
The
there's
bases
9
are
right here.
always the same. So did you keep, what's the base on 6 to the x? Equals 36.
Oh, I got 9.
So what's the base of your logarithm?
3.2, 3 divided by 2 base,
Right?
Yeah.
and then raised to 27. No, equals 27. Let's see.
Where you going? You usually go to
I ain't even doing it.
where you go to
I just look on this one. Wait, just continue.
Okay. Which of these do we have a question about?
No,
Do the second
I just put it in the wrong place. I put 3 divided by 2 in the wrong place. I put it I put it at the bottom of 9 instead of on top of 9.
But notice that's an exponent.
Yeah.
And what I'll remind you of is actually what we just talked about. What the denominator is the root. What is the square root of 9?
Well,
3. Right? So when I look at 9 to the 3 halves, I read that as the square root of 9, which is 3, and what's 3 cubed?
no. Oh,
27, right? 3 times 3 times 3. See how that's exactly what it says? So that's what we want to recognize out of those. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. This is a preview for tomorrow because we don't have time to do anything else. We're gonna look probably at a couple of those tomorrow, not that one. We'll do this. We're gonna talk about how to actually solve for an unknown in a logarithmic equation. That's probably about all we'll get to. And guys, and then we'll talk about this a little bit. That's our unit. That's our year right there. Those last 3 slides. Test on Monday. Everything on the understanding, the 2 understanding checks plus this little bit about logarithms.
That's right.
Next time you see me,
Oh.
for your NFL team.
That's it. Does anybody have their big idea graphic organizer to turn in? Or are we just banking on making an A or a B?
No, I did,
You really don't be dropping homework.
I did first aid.
You really don't.
I don't drop it till the end.
I've been
And I do.
Drop the end of it.
Well, if you take the test and you made an A or B, I dropped your zeros.
Nah, you didn't drop mine.
Really?
He was looking.
Check me on this. Come here.
I was telling
Come here, Caleb. Xavier, can you go ahead and hit the
He was
recording
working.
button?
I never did homework, I never did homework.
Let's look at it.
So long live math.
You said what?
Just said long live math.
Drop mine.
I'll be back in third.
What homework group was I supposed to drop?
Oh, what do you do?
There is no zero, Caleb.
Yes.
Or no zero.
What happened in your
Yes,
brother?
I'm buying.
All right, Mr.
So
Casey.
what are you complaining about? Okay.
But then you put that go ahead and not that.
So notice I took out these zeros from the last unit, but I didn't take out any zeros because you didn't have any last unit. You actually did. Jakeem,
So, like,
I'll put those down. Jakeem, Dog, you got a 75 because you still haven't turned in literacy for all.
Oh, come on, dude.
You could have a B in my class. Easy.
It's a lot.
No, it's not. 3 ways.
You hurt the man. You man.
Oh, the water gonna be our last,
Yeah, that's study
real
for
day.
it.
Say that
Yeah,
test.
stay for the test,
Monday.
turn in on Tuesday or something.
Get out of here.
That could work, sir.